All right. Welcome. Who's excited to go to college? Woo! Well, welcome. I am so glad you're here. Tonight is an informal night. So we're going to go through, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about college and what college prep looks like in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. And then we're going to switch over a little bit, and Mr. Bolin is going to share with you about how the diploma program in IB impacts your college prep. And then we actually have a couple of special guests that we're really excited about. We're going to have a student panel of 2025 graduates who are going to answer a couple of questions that we have pre-selected for them, and then we'll do a Q&A. If you have questions that don't get answered tonight, or you would rather talk one-on-one, you can always feel free to reach out to us. So, welcome. So this is College, Coffee, and the Continuum. So right now, some of you are in 9th grade. Raise your hand if you're in 9th grade or have a 9th grader. Okay, 10th grade. Yes, and 11th. Yes, way to go. We got 2 represented here. So here's the deal. In 2, 3, and 4 years, like, your kids are going to change a lot. We really hope and pray their brains develop so well over the next 2, 3, and 4 years. And you're probably going to have more gray hair. So we're all going to change, right? But it's going to be a good change, and it's an exciting change. But what I want you to remember, if you take away nothing from today, what I want you to remember is this very important thing, is God already has the plans for your child laid out, for you and your children. God already knows what's going to happen, and so there is so much peace and rest to be found in that truth, and you are going to need to remind yourself of that truth. Whether you're a student or whether you're a parent, you're going to have to remind yourself of that truth probably multiple times a day some days, especially in the fall of their senior year. You're going to have to let go. It's the process of letting go and trusting that the Lord will do what he says he's going to do, which is to take care of them. He's going to take care of him. He's theirs anyway. Or they are his anyway. Okay. Let me see if I can work this. All right. So we're going to learn how to rock your route. That's rock your route out of the rock. That's what we're going to do. So basically, a really large overview is this. In 9th and 10th grade, you are focused on your classes, doing your MYP classes. You're focused on your grades and keeping your grades up. Every year of high school matters when you are trying to go to college. Even in 9th grade at 14 and 15 years old, when probably the last thing on your mind is college, it actually matters what you're doing. So you're going to work on your grades, and you're going to begin to be getting involved. So getting involved would be things like your community service, volunteering. It could be joining a club at the school. It could be doing things outside of school with other organizations in our community that maybe you're passionate about or are curious about. That's what you're going to be working on in 9th and 10th grade. When you get to 11th grade, things start really changing and shaping up for your future. So you're going to continue doing the things you did in 9th and 10th grade, which is your classwork, your grades, getting involved, but you're going to up it a little bit, all right? So we're going to look at leadership opportunities, whether those opportunities are in the school or whether they are out in your community, at your church. Where is it that you can really step into some leadership, gain leadership experience? You're going to begin your college search, start going on college campus visits. And you're also in your 11th grade year, at the beginning of your 11th grade year, at the latest, you're going to start working on your SAT and ACT or CLT testing, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So you're going to work on that throughout your junior year, because our hope and prayer is that by the time you get to your senior year, because the fall of your senior year is, what's it like, Mr. Bolin? That's a lot, okay? you're getting a little bit of whiplash, okay? And so we want to ease some burden in that senior year. I don't know if you know this or not, but back in the day when we went to college, like, who knew where they were going to college in October of their senior year? Nobody. Okay, nobody. You were hardly thinking about it. But now, how today works is in October of your senior year, you are submitting your applications. Okay? And by November 1st, if you haven't done that, you're too late to many places. All right? So that's why we are working on things in our junior year, so when we get to our senior year, a little bit of the burden has been lifted. In 12th grade, you're going to work on applications, continue, of course, with your grades. Then you'll be looking at financial aid, scholarships, campus visits, and then finally making a decision on where you're going to college. Okay? All right. Types of colleges. We're going to just go through this super quick, but just in case you don't know, there are multiple types of colleges. There are these things called state colleges. These are what we used to refer to as junior colleges, but these are more like community colleges in our area that sometimes offer AA or AS degrees typically. Sometimes they also offer bachelor's degrees in a few areas. So for us, where we are, that is Santa Fe College. Then there are public universities. Now, I don't know if y'all know this, but we live in a college town. Did y'all know that? Okay, so what this does really for our kids is it creates an advantage for our kids, and it also creates a disadvantage for our kids. The advantage to it is our kids grow up in a university life, right? They experience football games, college talk. Their parents may work at the university. They can go visit it at any time. They go to sporting events. So a university and college future is talked about a lot. The disadvantage to that is sometimes our students don't know that there's any other colleges except UF out there, right? And there's really amazing colleges, and there's a lot of colleges that give you a lot of money, and there's a lot of colleges where your kid may actually thrive and be a better fit at a different college besides UF, and so we want to broaden their horizon a little bit. There are also private colleges and universities. An example of that here would be like Florida Southern. So they're not a Christian university, but they are a private university. We have out-of-state colleges like Duke or name a million. Georgia, UGA, wherever. And then there's religious universities. So if you want to continue your Christian education at a college, you can do that. There are some amazing ones in Florida. We also have an agreement with Asbury University, which is in Kentucky, where the revival happened a couple of years ago. It's probably where you've heard of that. Okay, but you do have cost involved. So this is just a little diagram. If you go to a public in-state school, your average tuition is going to be around $11,371. A public out-of-state, you're going to be paying out-of-state tuition. It's going to be a little bit more. And your private universities are going to be even more. Now, there is aid to be found at these places, scholarship that can tend to bring that number down, but this is just a cost comparison for you when you're thinking about how are we going to pay for college. And also, don't take out of the equation that God will provide if he wants you there. Okay, so these are some questions to ask yourself when you're talking with your students, when you're thinking about things. You want to ask yourself these questions. Okay, my daughter is a freshman in college, my oldest, and she literally for years said, I'm absolutely moving far away from home. I don't know, I thought I was a good parent, but whatever. And she said, I want to move far away from home, and she wanted to go to schools in the Northeast. And then she got to thinking about, I don't know, maybe she fell back in love with me. Maybe that's what it was. Okay, but she was like, oh, I don't actually want to have to get on a plane to go home. And I also don't want to live where it's really cold. And so you got to think about these things. Distance from home, the size of the campus. You may want to be at a really large public university, or that may overwhelm you, and you may want to be at a more mid-sized university with around 20,000 students instead of somewhere like UF that has more like 50. Size of classes, that also impacts. You may have gen ed classes that have 600 students in them at a large university, whereas if you were at a smaller university, your class size may be around 20 to 30 students. So if that matters to you, you want a more individualized education, you got to think about that. Sports. Some colleges have sports, some don't. How much does it cost? Is it Christian? What degrees are offered? What level of maturity does your student have when they are a senior in high school? That matters. If they are not going to be under your roof, maturity matters. And what is the middle 50 of their GPA and test scores? We're going to talk about that in a second, but you've got to think about, what does their admitted student profile look like at the colleges that I'm thinking about going to? All right, so in your packet, you have a copy of this. Raise your hand if you don't have a packet. Okay, thank you. Does everybody have one over here? Okay, so there's this list. This is a fluid list, meaning that you are going to work on this list for 3 years. Okay, if you're in 9th grade, for 2 years if you're in 10th, for 1 year if you're in 11th. But this is what I want you to think about. What are a list of schools for me that would be a safety school? Safety school means the chances of me getting into this school are really high, okay? It's a safety for me. If I don't get in anywhere else, I know I can get in here. A target school would be this. A target would be, I am almost there, or I think I have a chance. So these are my target schools, and it's somewhere I really want to be. And then a reach school would be, oh, it's a little bit outside of where I am now. I'm working towards getting there. This is a dream school, and I want this to be on my list. I would love for you to have 2 to 3 schools listed under each one, listed under a safety, a target, and a reach. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a second. All right, some other things that you will start doing are college visits. Listen, even when you go on vacation and you're near a college, just stop by. You actually can just usually walk on any campus. You don't even have to have an official tour. You can literally just, it's like you're breaking in, but you're really not. It's okay. I've actually done this at several. We take road trips over the summer, and actually it's really cool to go on campuses and run around like a crazy person. They're never going to see you again. Okay, so college recruiting visits at the Rock. So we have already had maybe 4 or 5 colleges come and visit this year. We will have more in the spring. Sometimes those are open to all of high school. Sometimes they have to be limited to just 11th and 12th. It depends on our limitations and restrictions at the time, but we have several visits, college visits. They come and they recruit, they talk about their university. You need to make sure that when you see those on the calendar or they are in an announcement, that you are encouraging your child to attend those. That's saving you time and money, and it's also helping broaden their horizons on what they could be doing. In January, I know that we have Liberty University coming to speak. And we're working on UCF and Asbury still need to come too. All right, the other thing is every year Santa Fe College does a large college fair. There's around 50 universities and departments represented, anywhere from, oh my gosh, what did we have there? Who was there? Nobody in here? You guys were here. Liberty was there. Yeah, University of Alabama was there. Yep, Mercer University, Southern Methodist University, all of our state schools are there. So that happens every year in the fall, usually in September. This is actually a picture. This isn't everybody who went from our school. It happens in the evening, but afterwards we went and had a fellowship at Moe's for like 2 hours. So that's what this picture is from. And then you can also book your own official college tours, especially if those are colleges on your list and you really want to explore them more. There is nothing like getting on a college campus to really get a feel for what they're like, what their vibe is like, their culture. My only thing is, don't ever go to a college campus in an off season. It's like dead town, and your student will never want to go there. So you want to make sure that you're going to college visits when college is in session in the fall and spring. You simply schedule these by Googling Office of Admission, the name of the university, and a tour, and then usually you can find the link to schedule those. Okay, so The next slide I'm going to show you, I'm going to preface it with this one. So when you are looking at, okay, that list that I was talking about, the safety schools, the target schools, the reach schools, the main thing that you've really got to look at is what we call the middle 50, okay? And the middle 50 of a school is basically how many students applied to this university, how many students do they actually accept, so the number of available spaces, and then what does the profile look like of those people that they accepted. That's how you're going to form and know, is this a safety school, a reach school, or a target school? Okay, so admission is competitive at a lot of universities, so you've got to think about these kinds of things. Whoops. Okay, so for example, UF, since we all know UF. This is the admission profile for the class that just started in fall of 2025. So started in August. I don't know if you can read it really well, but basically almost 92,000 students applied to go to UF. Wow. Everybody say, wow. That's enough students to fill the entire stadium. They don't accept 92,000. That's what's really hard about it, is they don't accept 92,000 kids. This is why we brought in our horizons. Just so you know, last year 25% of our students were admitted to UF, which is actually a really high number, okay? I do think that that has to do with IB, but the reality is 75% of our students were not. They are at other places, and they are thriving because it's where God wanted them. So keep that in mind. UF admitted 18,000 students. The majority, so over 10,000, came from what is called early action. That is by November 1st of every year in your kid's senior year, okay? They're middle 50. So middle 50 is what is the range of the middle 50% of admitted students look like? Well, the GPAs were 4.5 to a 4.7. The average ACT was a 31 to a 34. And the average SAT was a 1380 to a 1510. Okay? 25% of the kids who were admitted are above these numbers, and 25% of the kids admitted are below these numbers. Now, is there any rhyme or reason on who they admit or not? Sometimes yes and sometimes no, because most colleges do what is called a holistic review. Okay, FYI, I know a kid last year who had over 1,400 on their SAT. They were not admitted to UF. I know a kid who had an 1,100. They were admitted to UF. Don't ask me why. I don't know. They know, but this is what they're looking for. This is a holistic review. So it's a puzzle, and they want all the pieces of the puzzle together, okay? Down in the left corner, you see the pieces of the puzzle that we know are there, right? So you've got your GPA, your test scores, which are your standardized test scores, and your core courses. Here at The Rock, your core courses are met quickly because of IB. I want you to know, you've got to understand something, and I'm talking to you like as a parent, not as the academic advisor at The Rock. It is this, okay? When people are looking at the highest level of coursework to take at a university, or to get into a university, right? Like they want to be challenged the most, they want to look the best on paper. You basically have four choices. You have IB, you have AP courses, and do an AP capstone diploma, you have Cambridge, or you have dual enrollment. Those are your four choices on top level courses, okay? I sit in meetings with universities, and this question is asked often: which do you prefer? And they will say, all of them are great. We love all of them. If they have to pick one that maybe has a leg up on all of them, it is IB. They literally say this. The ones that will actually talk about it, okay? This is literally what Vanderbilt said. This is what Embry-Riddle said. So I want you to know, as Lacey, the mom who has 5 current students at The Rock and just graduated one, Um, I truly believe that the IB program not only helps them get to college, but what it really does is creates a well-rounded thinker who can think critically about things and not just know how to study for an easy test. That is what I love about IB. Okay, anyways, holistic review. So, other things, they're looking for leadership. What kind of leadership have you had at your school and in your community? Your college essay needs to be really good. You need to have character. Sometimes they are looking at demonstrated interest. Some colleges track if you've opened emails from them, how long you read the email. Have you visited? Have you called an admissions officer? That's what demonstrated interest is. Not all do that, some do. How are you pursuing passions? If you say that you're passionate about something, then what are you doing outside of school that shows that you're passionate about it? Also, colleges really like work. So get a job, okay? That'll help you. And what kind of extracurriculars? Academics beyond classes. That could be if you do a summer enrichment program. Many colleges and universities, we have an ongoing list of places. So say your kid is interested in law. There's a few state universities that have great, like, 1-week summer law programs. So that is, sorry, I put my thing down. That is also something that looks good on a resume to colleges. It's showing that you are passionate about things, you're exploring your learning. So if that's an option for you, take advantage of it. Okay, college entrance exams, we're talking about test scores. Basically, there are 3. There are the SAT, the ACT, and the CLT. Which one is best? I do not know. That is up to you, because every person's brain is different, every learner is different, and the way that you output information best is different. So this is what I suggest. All cost about the same. The only one that is still available on paper is the ACT. Some people do better with that. They're basically all the same. I suggest you take in your junior year, at the beginning or maybe even the summer before your junior year, you take each test, see which one you like better, see which one you do better on, and then stick with that one as you work on achieving your desired score throughout your junior year. So our suggested testing cadence is this. At the Rock School, we are able to give the SAT, and we also give the PSAT, which is the practice SAT. It's similar to in flow and in time and things like that. It's like a little bit of a predictor of what you're going to get on the regular SAT. We give the PSAT 9 in 9th grade, the PSA 10 in 10th grade. Those happen in the spring, and then you take the PSAT, the regular PSAT, in 11th grade in the fall. That is also the National Merit Qualifying Test. At the end of 10th grade, you will meet with Mr. Boland and Miss Littauer's back here, by the way, your upper school principal running tech. But you're going to meet with them at the end of 10th grade to discuss IB and which pathway you're going to take. And then throughout 11th grade, like I said, you'll take whichever test you like better, the SAT, ACT, or the CLT, and see which one it is. And work on your test. That way you are not testing in your senior year. We do not want that. All right, and all of this for Florida kids is really important because of the Bright Future Scholarship. Now, as a graduate of the Rock School, you're going to meet all of the, right here, all of these high school course credits. We have you covered. You don't even have to think about it. Now, here, your weighted GPA. So you've got minimum requirements for 100% Bright Futures. You have a 3.5 GPA. For next year, let's look for next year's graduates, a 1330 on the SAT or a 29 on the ACT will get you 100% Bright Futures. For 75%, you need a, you guys, 1190 on the SAT or a 24 on the ACT. Plus, you need your volunteer hours, work hours also count for that. Um, that is huge because that's money in your pocket. Okay, a 100% Bright Futures is around what, $30,000. So it's huge for all 4 years of college. So super important. Okay, we're going to talk about how IB fits into that in just a little bit. Why IB? Take it away, Mr. Boland.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Bassford. I have less time than I originally intended, but maybe that's a good thing. So I'm Mr. Bolin. If we haven't been able to meet, I'm the diploma program coordinator here at the Rock School. I also teach the Theory of Knowledge course. And also, on top of it, I'm an IB graduate. So when I was in high school, I went through an IB program. So it's very interesting to have been on both sides of the journey, and pretty cool to be on this side to help a lot of you get through it. But sticking with our little metaphor of the route to college, when I was thinking about why are we doing IB? I wanted to keep with that metaphor a little bit, but IB is the vehicle that's going to help you on the route to get to college or career, whatever your next step might be. But to just zoom out a little bit here, I wanted to put this in a bit of perspective of why we've chosen this vehicle at the Rock School to help you all get prepared for college or career and beyond. So up here on the left, I want to focus with is our vision of the Rock School, and you probably can't read it in that graininess, but I remember it. The vision of the Rock School is to develop disciples of Jesus who possess the knowledge, the skills, and the attitude to partner with God and courageously cooperate with Him in redeeming the world. Below that is our graduate profile, which has been this way, Miss Latower, for a while, 10 years and versions of it. So I just point that out because the vision at the Rock School has always been to raise up disciples who can work with God, who are wise and caring, effective leaders, strong communicators, who are going to take part in the world around them. This has always been our desire. On the right side, we see the IB mission statement. And the IB mission statement is to develop inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. And then below that are the 10 IB learner profile traits that maybe you remember seeing in our different award shows the last few years. And when I look at those two things, I see a lot of striking similarities of developing young people who are going to become knowledgeable, who are going to be engaged in the world around them, and make it a better place. Now, I will say I think IB misses one part, and they forget that really we need Jesus to make it the best place. But just to give you all a little just perspective as us as a school, the Rock School, we saw IB as this framework that we can use as a tool to do what we already wanted to do in making disciples who make the world a better place. So I think that's just fun to think of. Now, we've been in this journey for a couple years now, and just there's a couple weird nuances that are happening. Now, at the Rock School, we've got our new PYP program, we've got our MYP program, and we've got our DP program, and they match up in some kind of funny ways. So, looking at this diagram, middle school is our 6th or 8th grade, like a traditional middle school. And then we do have some transitions into some more responsibilities in high school through 9th and 12th. That lines up a little funny with the way the IB programs work, and we'll circle back to this in a little bit, but the middle years program really is following students from 6th grade all the way to 10th grade. And all of the skills and inquiry that are building along the way are building up towards what will eventually be the 2-year diploma program, which is really just your 11th and 12th grade years. So I bring that up because I know there's a little confusion of like, am I a diploma student when I hit 9th grade, or where am I in this IB journey? And that'll be a little bit important when I circle back to how this DP program helps you in making your holistic profile look impressive. So, but I want to take a moment just to look at some data because I think data is important and interesting. So here we've got a recent research publication from a couple summers ago about post-secondary outcomes of international baccalaureate diploma program graduates in the United States. So again, we're thinking, how does this vehicle of the IB program help you all become ready for college and beyond? So I have a few fun graphs to show you. Who likes graphs? Anyone? We love them. Great. And I know you can't read from these, but if you would like these documents, we can share them when we share the slides as well. But what I'll point out is that on each of these graphs I'm about to show you, we have these like clumps of data. The first one is going to be all DP graduates. So any student who has either earned their IB diploma or just been a course candidate and taken just a couple IB courses. The second one is going to be any IB diploma recipients. So, like our graduates who are here right now who earn their IB diplomas, they would fit in this category. The next one is anyone who went through a full IB diploma program but maybe didn't earn their diploma for whatever reason. And then the final graph, final bar, is just a course candidate who took one or more IB courses but not necessarily the entire gambit. What I'll point out to you, though, is that in this particular graph, we see DP graduates have higher immediate college enrollment rates than the national average for in favor four-year institutions. So what this is just showing is that out of all United States students, all IB students, whether they took A class, all classes, earned their diploma or not, they are applying to and getting into four-year institutions at a higher rate than students who did not go through an IB program. This one down here, these are two-year institutions, so I think the reason they're lower there is just because IB students, they know they're going towards higher institutions, and so they're applying for 4 years colleges instead of just state colleges and things like that. I'll quickly go through these, but it's similar trends along the way. Diploma student graduates tend to enroll in more selective post-secondary institutions. Again, we have all IB graduates, diploma recipients, diploma students who did not receive their diploma, and just IB students in general. They're getting into more prestigious colleges. And once FLIBS gives us the data, we're going to see how they're getting into these and how at higher rates, but they haven't shared that data with me yet. Working through, again, we're seeing time and time again that our diploma student graduates are outperforming students who have not gone through at least a similar program as IB. Here, this one is showing that students who go to a university, are enrolled, go back the next year too. So here, and I found this really interesting, the national average of students who maybe go to their freshman year of college but don't go back for year two, or who continue to go back for year two, it's only about 72%. That means about a quarter of students who go to their freshman year, for whatever reason, don't go back for their second year. But again, IB students are outperforming all of those. And again, here we see diploma students have much higher 4-year and 6-year graduation rates. So actually graduating within those 4 years or 6 years, depending on their programs, they also have higher rates. So those are all fun. And I have more data for you. You guys want more data? We love data. So this one's a couple years older, but what we'll see is some similar trends. Again, of students who go to universities, our our diploma students are finishing in 4 years more often than students who did not complete an IB diploma program. How much time do I have? A few minutes. Great. Again, I really like this one here. So these next two graphs specifically are looking at Asia and like East Asia and the Pacific, so Australian places. But what this is focusing on is 21st century skills. So more and more businesses, companies, colleges, all these programs are looking into what are the skills that students need to be successful in the world around us today. So thinking about all the technology that's out there, the AI that's out there, how we communicate and are becoming an increasingly global society. Time and time again, skills like being culturally sensitive, having time management skills, having leadership skills, and being globally minded, our diploma students are showing greater aptitude in all of those skills as well. And that's what this next one shows as well. This is specifically looking at Australia, but our diploma students are improved in those skills that universities, businesses all find important for success in college and career. We don't have time for this. We'll move forward. So just thinking of our IB diploma programs, one thing I want to highlight is, again, I know we're in a place where some of you are in your MYP years and some of us are in our DP years. I just want to highlight that all of our IB classes, whether you're at the Rock School in 10th, 11th, or 12th, you're taking these IB classes that are inquiry based and are based on rubrics. For those of you who are in 11th grade or getting ready to go into there, this is where some of the shift happens and where a lot of that part of making your resume for the college you want to go to look stronger. So the diploma program is a 2-year program. All DP classes start in 11th grade and they last that 11th and 12th grade year, and they all culminate in some final exams. Now, where this is helpful in thinking about your reach schools or your safety schools or where you're at in there is some of you are going to have to start thinking about your pathway and how you're going to really market yourself to the universities you want to go to. Some of our students are in the full diploma pathway. This one, they're taking a full load of IB courses and they're completing the DP core. And some of our students are taking our course candidate pathway. And this one is just a couple IB courses. Now, how did I want to say this? When we think of the holistic part of applying for colleges, some of it's rigorous coursework. I want to point out that regardless of the pathway you choose, you are taking IB courses and they are rigorous, and there is a level of it where it is hard. There are hard parts of it regardless of which pathway you choose. One of the things you need to determine is if you want to go to those most prestigious universities, you need to be really thinking about, do you want to put the work and the time and the effort to take the full pathway? Because you don't have a study hall involved. You've got higher level classes and standard level classes, and you got to be thinking about, is it worth it for me? Along with that holistic idea, this core part, this is where, if you've heard of our extended essay, has anyone heard of the extended essay yet? Is anyone afraid of the extended essay? A little bit. How about CAS? Has anyone heard about CAS, the Creativity Activity Service? Has anyone heard about, like, oh, I had to do a project for that? And it's like, man, is anyone afraid of doing a project for CAS? Some of us. Now, these are hard things, and the IB program is hard. It does take work. You can't just breeze by it. But it's these things that, again, colleges like about the IB program, because the core, in addition to the rigorous coursework, is what builds the holistic student. Our hope is that as you engage in an extended essay research project and involve yourself in CAS and think of a project you can be a part of, that those are things that you're building yourself as a whole person. That the project that you decide to do might be part of a club you want to start or be a part of your youth group. And that those are the leadership opportunities you get that build the puzzle of what these universities want to see. All in all, I do want to point out that for those who do look into the full diploma pathway, there is one potential very big benefit of that. As we looked earlier at Bright Futures, I think we might have seen that some of those SAT scores and ACT scores are quite high and maybe daunting to get to. Successful completion of the full IB program, that is again taking all 6 of those classes, completing an extended essay, completing a CAS project and portfolio. If you complete all those and successfully pass all the external exams at the end, notice this box here under the college entrance exams. What's the minimum you need to get? There is no minimum now. So one thing to keep in mind, again, as you're thinking of your pathway, thinking of where you want to get and the work that it might take to get there, I know paying for college is one thing that might be difficult for some, or we want to minimize that hurdle. Successful completion does help make this way easier. And in fact, I can give a little bit of data because our students last year, 8 of our students didn't necessarily meet the minimum SAT requirements to get that Fulbright Futures, but because they did pass all their IB exams and because they did earn their IB diploma, they were able to get that Fulbright Futures scholarship. And this is even fun for 2 of our students. They earned $16 total thousand dollars by going to FSU and having their full diploma. So I think those are some, as we think of our future and the benefits of this hard work that we might be engaging ourselves in, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it can be really beneficial for us. Ms. Bassford, what do we have next?
We have some special guests. Dun, dun, dun. Some of these graduates from last year are joining us to answer some questions about being a student at TRS come forth. And Kang is not, he said he's not prepared, but Kang, come sit up here. We actually have three. So, here, scoot him down. Mr. Boland, can you scoot him down? All right, so listen, we can talk all day to you, right? But like we get paid to talk to you. So I want you to hear from like people who lived it, all right? They chose to stay at the Rock through the transition of IB. Well, I don't know if Andrew had a choice, but he did it anyway. But they chose to stay at the Rock, right? Suffered through, championed through, excelled through the transition. They were guinea pigs, okay? We didn't know how IB was going to actually work, okay? We said a lot and we really were confident, but we didn't actually know. And my daughter was also one of them, so, it was a crapshoot. And so, anyways, but here, like, they lived through it and they are now in college. And so, we're going to ask them some questions. Does that sound good? Yes? Okay. Here, I'm going to hand this one over to you. All right, so my first question for you is this. What do you wish you would have known about college before graduating high school?
Okay. When I first read that question, I nothing came to mind, but it's just kind of like ask questions. It's better to know earlier, and maybe it seems like a dumb question, but whatever. It's worse to find out later when it's too late. Then it actually looks real bad. But not that that happened to me, but But yeah, I guess there's not really anything. Andrew?
I have two microphones. So the question was, what do we wish we knew about college before going to college? Um, well, I never really, you said this earlier, but touring a campus I think is pretty important. I never did that. And then when I got there, I'm like, well, and I went to UF, but I've never even been to the campus until I went there, really, aside from the football stadium. So I'm like, this is pretty cool. And make sure you know what you believe in, maybe, like, aside from the academics, but just like, yeah, parents, talk to your kids, and kids talk to your parents. Like, you know, college is going to expose you to a lot of new stuff, so just make sure you're grounded somewhere in Jesus Christ, I think. Yes. Okay.
Um, Thanks. I think the thing I wish I knew was that college is too lenient on you, and that's kind of a bad thing. You can be 45 minutes late to class. You can eat your food in class. You can scroll on your phone. You can literally play games in class if you want to. But this is exactly why you shouldn't let yourself do that. I have done that. I did that in the beginning. I regretted it. Um, High school is very different because they actually force you to focus. And just because they don't force you to do that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. You should still hold yourself accountable, responsible for your academics and your lessons, and you should respect your teachers.
All right, so next question is this. How well do you feel like TRS prepared you for college level academics?
Here, we can just use this microphone, I guess. All right. Do y'all want to open? I'll open. The Rock School probably prepared me pretty well. I'd say course-wise, like difficulty-wise, it actually hasn't been too hard for me in college. I think high school is if probably just as difficult, if not a little bit more towards the end. Of course, I am just starting, so it always ramps up throughout your 4 years of college. But yeah, but definitely a lot bigger now than this small school community. But
Yeah, I think The Rock did an excellent job preparing us for college regarding academics. I think the IB program definitely helped, and if The Rock didn't implement that, I think maybe it would have been a bit different.
I think The Rock did a fabulous job. Um, I believe they tortured us before we got tortured by college. Um, when I was in my American government exam, it said, to what extent? Lock in. Instant lock in. And I knew what to do. It was an essay. And I've written over 20,000 words by hand in the past junior and senior year. So I just knew what to write. I got a 100 on that essay, by the way.
I love that. I love that. All right, looking back, is there anything you would have done differently during your college application process?
I don't think there is. I mean, extracurriculars, sports, volunteering, checking all the boxes that you can without burning yourself out, taking leadership roles. I mean, at the Rock, you could start a club, NHS, Guatemala missions trip. Like, there's plenty of opportunities. And I think now is a great time to start taking initiative because the Rock provides a great safety net and support. So, yeah.
Kind of what Kylie said, also what Miss Bassford spoke about earlier. But like I said, well, like they said, they don't just look at your grades or your test scores. Mine were actually, I think, lower than what they usually accept, the middle 50. But it was probably because I wrote a pretty good essay and I made it kind of funny. So I think that's probably why they accepted me. And other stuff like extracurriculars and just don't be afraid to do some stuff outside of school and put that on your application.
Don't delay writing your essay. I wrote my essay the day it was supposed to be submitted.
We're not doing that. Nobody in here is doing that, or I will come and get you. Okay. Okay. What is a piece of advice that you would give to parents as they support their child through this process?
Don't stress your child out. There's a lot of pressure as a student, and I mean, once upon a time, you were a student, and sometimes we're just trying to make the least regrettable decision, out of the options that we're given, and sometimes we don't know where we're going. So I think just, parents, like, you're here, that kind of shows that you do care about, like, your student and where they're headed. And so, yeah, I think just being there to support your child, advise them, to the best of your ability.
Yeah, I just keep agreeing with Kylie here. I would say just don't add unnecessary pressure. And obviously, you want your kids to go far places, but, don't be a mean parent and be like, you better get somewhere good. So, yeah, just be nice, I guess.
You are doing this for your kid. This is not for you. This is not your vision. This is your son or daughter's vision. I didn't have any help during my application process, but if I were to have help, I would assume that they would understand my goals, perspectives, and desires, and not just, no, you're going to be a doctor. Let your kid be what they want to be. If you have any problems with it, talk it out with them. Don't just ignore or downplay their opinions or anything.
I love that. All right, if you could, this is your last serious question, okay? If you could go back to your high school time, what is one thing that you would focus on more and one thing you would worry about less?
I think I would worry less about maybe what I thought about myself because I am my worst critic. And I was really tough on myself, and it stressed me out a lot. I got a lot of anxiety from it, and I think, just trusting that I'm making the right decisions and, try not to make decisions that I'll regret. I mean, that's all what we're all trying to do. But
That's a kind of a hard question, but focus on more. Try to break. For me, this is the same old habit. It keeps causing me problems, but every student does it. But just try to stop procrastinating a little bit. Try to get better at time management. I wish I would have done that. I still don't do that. And worry about less is just what other people think about you, I guess. Yeah.
what I would worry about less is to stop thinking that a single grade, a single bad grade defines who you are. Um, it affected me a lot, and I personally couldn't really do much about it because I was naive back then. And the thing I wish I could focus on more is to be engaged more with the community. I know they talk about academics, but really, The Rock is a very close community. I was glad I got to know everybody in my senior class, got to become so close. So if you haven't made any friends or haven't made enough friends, reach out now because college is a lonely place.
It's true. I think this is, even with my own daughter, Ella, who graduated with these awesome kids, would say, like, it's actually hard to find community, even for outgoing kids, right? So you want to make sure that you're getting involved as soon as you can. Okay, one last question. I also did not warn you about this, but how many IB credits, how many credits, college credits, did you earn because of your IB um, grades? Your IB, what do you call that? Your grades. Okay, cool.
24.
20, hold on. 24 college credits, yes? Okay, so who knows what a full-time load of college credits is per semester? Does anybody know? It's 12. 12 hours is full-time. So 24 would be how many semesters? Two. This is a full year of college.
I don't know really, but I think it's around 30.
Yeah.
It's 24.
24 as well. And my daughter had 27. So a little over. So huge, right? Not only did you get a full high school experience, yes, but now you're getting a full college experience and you still are ahead of the game. So you guys give it up for these 2025 graduates. Also, special thanks to Kang. He did not have these questions ahead of time and didn't know he was coming tonight. So thank you, Kang. All right, y'all can go. Hey.
I will add too, every single one of our seniors last year passed the language and literature course with 1 or 2 English credits, which is ENC 1101 and or ENC 1102, which are composition classes. And if you're familiar with the Florida Gordon rule, you're required to have 24,000 words total at least among. So some of them knocked out half of that, which means less papers to write in college for some. So that's just fun facts.
Yeah. Okay. So what kind of questions do you have? If you have a question, raise your hand. A burning question. We've got 6 minutes to answer questions. And if we don't get to a question, yes, Miss Littauer is going to come join us. Yes. Oh, got it. Okay. If we don't get to a question, are we going to give them the index card? Yes. Okay. Mr. Boland's going to pass out an index card. Mr. Boland, pass out the index cards. You're going to write, I want you to write your name. I actually want everyone to do this in here. Everyone gets an index card. Everyone writes their name. You're going to turn it in. If you have a question that doesn't get answered, then I will reach out to you personally to get that question answered. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry if you covered this in the very beginning. I was a little late. Can you talk us quickly through the process of that volunteer hour log and how that gets tracked and those details?
Great question. So in your packet, the last page is the volunteer log. It's a volunteer / work hours, paid hours log. Both count towards Bright Futures. This is what I would suggest that you do. You have this piece of paper now. At any time, your student can come and ask Ms. Ty in the front office or come to my office and ask me for a copy of this if you lose it, okay? You fill it, you complete it, fill it out. I would suggest keeping it. If you're going to lose it or your student is going to lose it, they can literally turn it in as many times as they want to until they graduate high school, okay? If you can keep track of it, then I suggest completing it all year, and then at the end of each grade year, so in May, you turn them into Miss Ty. That's simply what you do. Miss Ty then scans them in. She'll actually make a copy of it, so you get to keep a copy. It scans into our computer system, and then I log it in manually. So that is literally it. There, it is not complicated. You could even, we want you to get the signatures just in case we keep that on file for years in case Bright Futures were to audit your student, then we would have record like, oh, here are their hours. So again, you can turn it in as often as you would like, or you can turn it in, I would suggest once a year, doing that.
How does Bright Futures work for private schools, or are all private schools off the table in regards to Bright Futures?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, for out-of-state private schools, it is most likely off the table. For our in-state private schools, so for example, Southeastern University, Florida Southern, Palm Beach Atlantic is another Christian university that we have here. They do accept Bright Futures money. Now, Bright Futures pays out at a $212 per credit hour. That is how much tuition costs typically at our state universities, right? So Bright Futures will not pay the tuition cost of that private college. So let's say, for example, at Southeastern University, the per credit hour rate is $1,200. Well, they will apply that $212 Bright Futures money to their tuition per credit hour. So it does count and it does help, and it is able to be stacked with other scholarships at those universities. He's not allowed to ask a question. I'm kidding.
For the full diploma, one of the main differences were the 3 high-level or higher-level courses. What is currently offered for those courses, and is there a plan to expand them, change them?
Great question. Right now, the full pathway involves their language and literature course, so that's their English class, and then we have a Spanish B or Spanish ab initio class, depending on the level that's determined by the Spanish teachers. Spanish B is a higher level Spanish ab initio.
They both count as SL though.
They're both kind of set. Oh, you wanted just the HL courses?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry. The HL courses, it's your language and literature, and then it's our ESS, which is the Environmental Systems and Societies class. That is their science class, and then their arts class. So whether they're in the theater HL class or visual arts HL class. We have plans, concepts of a plan.
No, yes, we do have plans. We're still looking at some different options, but 9th grade this year or 10th grade? 9th grade, okay. Yeah, so as we meet with 10th graders in the spring, we'll share kind of what the options are for the coming year. Yeah.
I will point out too, because I think this is important to see when. So the difference between an HL course and an SL course is not so much complexity level, like it's not like it's significantly more complex, but it's the breadth of what you cover. So it's not that it's more difficult in the sense that it's harder concepts, but you do more in the HL courses than the SL courses. So what that looks like practically, because I know we talked about how some of our students earn college credits, most public universities don't differentiate between an HL course or an SL course. It's whatever their final score, their final grade, once all the assessments are taken care of. If they get a 4 versus a 5 or a 6 or a 7, that determines how much credit you might earn. But our state universities in Florida don't differentiate between those. The private universities tend to be more selective, and they might only take an HL course, but that depends on the private university. Does that help answer your question too?
Course as well?
So, in the full diploma program, students are required to take 3 HL courses and then 3 SL courses. Right now, the only option we have are the 3 that I mentioned. Hopefully, in the future, we can offer some variety. That is a hope of ours. But for now, it would be just those 3 options: their English class, science class, and art class.
Yeah. Also, I think it's important to note, like for Ella, for example, who graduated last year, she had the 6 IB courses. That was all she could take. Like it was do or die. This is what you take. I have a daughter now who's in her junior year, and there were two choices for two of those subjects, right? So it is increasing. So now she had a choice between visual art and theater for her fine arts elective. And then she had the choice between Spanish B or Spanish ab initio. Those are two different Spanish level courses. So I think, especially for a ninth grader, it's looking great. It's looking good. Choices in every subject. That is the goal. Maybe.
Out of the college credits that the students are earning, how many of those credits count toward gen ed courses requirements, and how many of those are elective courses credits?
It's been a little bit since I went to college, but they pretty much all go towards their general education, or like that first 60 hours. They're all applicable towards either a humanities credit or an English credit or a science credit. So they're all useful to them because most majors require some sort of electives anyways. And so while maybe the course they took here at the Rock School as an IB course isn't in their major track, it can most often will apply for at least an elective. So they're still useful in working towards whatever major they want to get. Did that answer your question? Yeah. Okay.
We can also share, so like UF and any other university has usually online what IB credits translate to which college courses. So whatever schools you're interested in, you can look and see exactly what they're translating it. And it is going to be different. I mean, UF is very generous. Out-of-state schools, private schools, less so. So,
and if you want to start digging into that, if you just Google search University of Florida IB score, the top one or two links should take you straight to that page that you want to find.
What would be interesting, I think, and I know we don't have the data quite yet. We've only had one graduating class, but all the graphs that you had at the beginning. If we start dropping in like the Rock School, how the Rock School compares to the national average on percentage basis.
Well,
and stuff like that.
Ms. Latower and I love spreadsheets and graphs, so I'm sure we could figure that out.
Yeah, we do hope to do some more tracking, especially with our first IB class of data of kind of where alumni go. So, yeah.
There's actually.
Anybody else?
Miss Mitchell. Miss Mitchell is sitting here. She has a current senior, and now she's here for round 2 with your 10th grader. Yes. Just off the cuff, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to the parents in this room as a current parent of a senior living through it? She's in the thick of it right now.
Yes, in the thick of it. Definitely for juniors, I would recommend start working on your essay junior year, like in the springtime, so that you're not trying to do all of these different essays, college essays, in the fall of your senior year. It's a lot. So, and then definitely prayer.
All right, any other questions? All right, Miss Latower, you want to close this out?
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. We're here to support you. So as a team, we work together. Reach out, like Ms. Bassford said, if you do have specific questions. And can I just pray before we dismiss? Jesus, we thank you so much that your goodness is before us always, and that the path that you have for each of these children of yours is beautiful and wonderful. And God, we just thank you for the wisdom that you give us as we ask. I just pray that these parents and these students would leave encouraged and hopeful, and just ready to seek you and what you have for their lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.